Okay, everyone, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. We have a best of 5 series here for the New World Championships between Snow and Ramex12, both of which taking the Russians for game number 1 here, which will be on Pampas, Sioux. It's ZeroEmpires here. Unfortunately, no co-caster today, so hopefully I'll be able to... this doesn't look right. Hold on a second. We may have to restart here. All right. Sorry about that. It looks like the host settings were wrong, and I ended up being a player in the game there. So we're going to quit out and re-host real quick, and then we'll redo the intro. Apologies. There we go. Oops. Looks like I should not have done that. There we go. We're getting into it. Yeah, there's no way to set a stream delay midstream, but here we go. I think we're ready to go now.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, everyone, hello and welcome to a best of 5 series between Snow and Ramex12 for the New World Championships. It will be game number 1, Pampas, Sioux, and it will be a mirror matchup with the Russians for both players. I'm ZeroEmpires, and unfortunately today I do not have a co-caster. It doesn't seem like anyone was available, but hopefully I can guide us through these games and not say much that is totally out of line, as I am still relatively new to Age of Empires 3. But hopefully that's okay, and we can take a look at how this goes as we go into the game now. Spawning up to the north of the map in the red, it will be Ramex12. He is on the Russians, as we say, and we can see here that this is all food on the floor and a 200 wood start for him. He immediately goes and picks up the 30 food treasure, and we'll see here with that 200 wood rather, if we see a market coming down. I imagine we will, since Pampas Sioux is not a TP map. Down to the south of the map, in the green, it is Snow. He's going to go pick up the 30 coin treasure with a villager, while meanwhile sending out his explorer to the left side, the Pampian Mountains, looking for some of those llamas. And he'll pick up at least 1 or 2 llama here, because it looks like the red explorer of Ramex is actually going straight across the middle of the map. And for now, he's going to find that 90 food treasure, but not finding any wood treasures so far. Which means, I guess in theory then, he would not be going for a market here, because he'd need the 50 wood for hunting dogs. And without the treasure to have that, he wouldn't be doing that. But he will get the 90 food, but at the cost of losing a few llamas here on the left side. Snow managing to pick up a few of those already, and sending them home quite quickly as well. But we'll pick up the 90 food treasure there. Ramex now with a total of 120 food in treasure. That could help his age up time a little bit, as we don't see Snow with any such treasures so far. Neither of them have really explored the right side of the map here. So there are quite a few more additional treasures to be found. There's a... let's see, we've got 375 XP over there. That's not too great. The stray llama here, the cows. Actually, these kind of aren't the best treasures, I feel. There's no wood treasures, it looks like. Already we see the best treasures already gone. All the resource treasures, at least, have been taken. And Snow's not really going to find much. You know, he's coming out here already, seeing what he can see, and he's going to be a little bit disappointed, I think. So he will end up getting a couple of llamas, one of which he's taken already for that quick food boost. But the other 3 will go the way of Ramex, because Ramex is going to come back to the mountains and pick them up now anyway. So both players will be on 3 llamas, but Ramex does seem to be just a little ahead here with the treasuring. Snow, of course, gets the 30 coin, but Ramex with the extra food, we might see a faster age up from him, perhaps. But he might also decide to get out that extra batch of villagers anyway. We can currently see units in queue, both of them still queuing. Another batch going up to 16 villager population. But we do see a villager coming forward from Ramex now, and he's probably going to be looking for that forward blockhouse in the middle of the map. And I think he's going to be pretty happy with this start, to be honest. He's not going too far forward, and in fact, he's actually just going to go and herd those deer back. But I wonder if while he is there, he might be tempted to build a blockhouse as well. I'm not too familiar with a Russia mirror, to be honest, and we'll have to wait and see then. But market will come up in transition here. We can see that they're both up to the colonial age, pretty much the identical time, but Snow does get his hunting dogs in just a little bit earlier. Ramex, meanwhile, building the market in transition up to the colonial age, but only just going to be getting hunting dogs in a second. He's actually a little bit short on the gold, but he's got that now, and hunting dogs should be coming in. There it is. So, yeah, with the Russian mirror, I mean, I'm wondering if we'll just see like a lot of aggression from these guys. We've obviously got the 5 Cossacks in deck, and we've got pretty much identical decks for both players by the looks of things. I mean, it's pretty close. It looks like Snow has a couple more, an extra wood shipment in here. But other than that, they've both got the advanced arsenal. They've both got similar military shipments here. The 5 Cossacks, the 4 Cossacks, the 13 Strelets. And I'm just kind of switching between them to sort of spot the differences here. It's like, spot the difference. Please circle it. We've got the Manchus in the deck for Snow. They're also there for Ramex as well. So pretty similar decks for both players by the looks of things at first glance at least. But I'm sure you guys in the chat will be able to identify some other things if I miss it. But Snow coming forward there, 3 villagers, building that blockhouse toward the center of the map. And I thought Ramex would do the same with that forward villager earlier, but he's actually building it at home with the 3 again here. So both players, very, very similar build orders so far. Of course, both starting with distributivism, and both going to be sending that Age 2 shipment very shortly as well. Looking at the hunt at the moment, it does look like Ramex is in a slightly better position with the hunt. Like, he has a lot more hunt under his TC at the moment, whereas we look at Snow, that hunt's kind of drifting a little bit, and he's actually at the moment where is he? He's grabbing hunt out in the middle near his blockhouse, so that kind of explains that. But 5 Cossacks coming in for both players, and Snow will immediately catch the scout there, but the Cossack from Ramex are just around the corner. However, Snow also has the Incan Huaminka, and he's going to be there as well with that 15 hand attack and 170 health, so just sort of buffing up Snow's army quite nicely. He's already popped out with some Strelets as well, so he's way ahead in military unit population right now, and sort of dominating the middle of the map by the looks of things. Units in queue for Ramex shows the muskets being trained here, so I feel like this is quite good for Snow, in fact, starting with the Strelet, but he doesn't have anything in queue right now. Doesn't quite have the resources, I think, for the Strelets, but could very shortly there add the muskets as well. But at the moment, we'll probably see both players just sort of holding back and waiting for the right time to strike. Ramex dropping down a second blockhouse in base, and we see just the 1 blockhouse for now from Snow. So Ramex might be able to pull ahead in military production pretty soon if he's got that extra blockhouse down, and for the time being, just going all in onto the muskets forward now. Snow also going to the muskets, but blockhouse coming down for him as well. And there you go. But I was saying about spice trade here. Not really sure what that is, to be honest with you. I might probably missing something there, but I do see that both of them are sending the same shipments at the moment, and both of them continuing to mirror each other quite closely here, with the 700 wood coming in for both as well. Of course, getting up that housing space, allowing you to fill up your population headroom with units, as the Russians so quickly do. But Snow here coming out to the right side, looking for a raiding potential. Might find this villager, but there's 3 Cossacks ready to fend that off very quickly. And he's going on the left as well with 2 Cossacks. So you know, just looking at this, it looks to me as though Snow is in control at the moment. You know, he's got Ramex playing in base. He sees the stable here, and unfortunately he's not been able to find any villager kills, but he does seem to sort of have this game under his control. You know, Ramex is responding to Snow's raiding attempts. He's sort of playing catch-up to Snow, but they are both even on military and economy right now. And I do remember seeing a very, very long and drawn-out Russia mirror on this map a few weeks back, and it was pretty entertaining because both players just waited and waited and waited until they were both sort of in a position where they felt comfortable to take a fight. And the next thing you know, they ram all their units together, have a huge engagement, and that was it. The game was over. So it all sort of ended in one big fight. But in this case, we'll see. We've got 4 Cossacks following for Ramex here. I don't know if Snow will send the Cossacks now as well, but he is adding in a stable, so he'll have the ability to train some of his own. Looks like Ramex will now send out his own Cossacks to the left side, while in the middle, the Strelets are walking straight in, but there's no attack move here. He's just going to go straight into the musks, taking a pretty poor start to that engagement. The cavalry locked up in the back lines, while here at the front, we can see Ramex looks to be pulling ahead. His Cossacks in there do seem to be engaging onto the muskets, though, but the Strelets walking straight in, getting a face full of musket balls, and will have to back away. All in all, though, it is quite even in military unit population. Snow will keep those Strelets on the back lines while the Cossacks try to push forward, but still, it's 18-17. Snow just reinforcing now, and of course, as Ramex pushes out towards those blockhouses, the reinforced distance for Snow will get shorter, so that does favor Snow with the counter-attack. So pretty nice engagement to start things off. Pretty even trade, to be honest. Look at the military count now. They are absolutely even, and Snow saying, ouch, and I'm not sure what he's ouching about, but let's take a quick look at units lost. It looks like it was 12 muskets and 14 Cossacks for Ramex, whereas it was 11 Strelets and 18 muskets and 8 Cossacks. So I can see why Snow is saying ouch. It certainly didn't go so well for Snow, but the military population at the end still favoring Snow. So might not be too bad overall. He sends 13 Strelets now, swinging the tide slightly in his favor, but the 13 Strelets from Ramex quickly follow through. And he's going to take another engagement out here on the left side. But there's a lot more Cossack, I feel, for Ramex. Ramex here tanking a lot with those. And getting in there with the against the Strelets. But the Cossacks from Snow now coming in after the Cossacks from Ramex have been taken down. They're doing a great job of backlining these Strelets and making this fight very awkward for Ramex. And Snow might just overwhelm him here with another batch of Strelets coming in. Those muskets are dropping like flies. And of course that Cossack there getting the snare as well for a moment. Before Ramex could retreat. So does seem to have gone better for Snow in that second engagement. Obviously the first one was a bit misleading since the military unit population looked fairly even at the end, but now it was clear to me that that fight went very well for Snow. Boyar's now coming in, however, for Ramex, and I imagine Snow will have that on the way as well. He'd be pretty crazy not to at this point, as well, I guess what else would he send? I mean, I guess he could send coin and try and age, but it feels like these guys are very locked into a colonial warfare at the moment. More raiding potential on the left side, though. That villager will go down by the looks of things. One more hit, but Snow getting away right before Ramex could get the snare and clean that up with the muskets. So pretty good job by him. He's ahead quite considerably in economic population now. It's 37 versus 30. Of course, that could be 37 against 33 if Ramex pops another batch pretty soon. But Snow just maybe having a little less idle time on the town center. I don't think he's raided that many villagers, but he's certainly going to be able to keep raiding more because Ramex is again out on this left-hand side trying to get the hunt. But they're getting taken down. 2 more villagers from Snow, from Ramex going down to Snow. And Snow will get away quite comfortably with those Cossacks. Ramek might try and head him off here, but meanwhile, Snow's pushing up behind him. Got to be very careful not to get caught out. Bringing the Strelets back. Nicely done. And we do see Boyars in for both, as well as the 700 food now from Snow as well. That could be how he starts to think about aging here, if he wants to think about aging. Of course, the colonial Russia play is very, very strong. We've got reinforcements at the back not joining the fight. This could be a mistake from Snow. Ramex might be getting a good fight here if these muskets don't come over, but they are moving now. The Cossacks going down for Ramex once again as these muskets come through, and Snow keeps his Cossacks alive. Mostly Strelets left now, so Ramex will lose everything here without any more reinforcing units, and the GG is going to be called. Such a close mirror match for such a long time there. Both players sending the same cards in the same order at the same time, but those fights really just made up of sort of control, right? Like it was made or lost through unit control and reinforcing the fight. I just want to quickly look at. I mean, it'd be nice if we could see like units trained. I don't know. We can't do that now because the UI freezes at the end of the game. But I'm wondering if maybe Snow ended up training more Cossack in the end. At the very least, he definitely kept his Cossacks alive longer in those fights, it seems. And he definitely sort of took care of Ramex's Cossacks a little bit faster. And then at that point was able to get his own Cossacks onto the Strelet. But there was a very sort of mirrored game, down to every little detail, it seems. But it looks like Ramex may have had a bit more idle TC time. He may have had a little bit of extra raiding on the left side, which caused that 9 villager lead. And of course, that would have allowed Snow to quite literally snowball this game out of control. Quick look at the post-game, looking at the villager count. Yeah, he just kind of had this flat line here. He didn't lose anything, but he idled for a long while. And probably in favor of just getting, a couple of extra units out, but it didn't pay off in the end. And Snow was able to pull ahead there. And quite evenly matched, I feel. But I look forward to seeing Game 2. We're going to back out of this one now. We won't keep the players waiting too long. I'm sure they're eager to get to the next one after our first match. Their Russian Mirror, quite popular, it seems, on Pampas Sierras. Of course, Florida will be our next map. Snow will have to pick his civilization first. Let's go into the lobby and see what will be picked here. But yeah, you guys talking about PR levels. It's PR 36 for Ramex, and Snow is at PR 40. So Snow, perhaps the favored player here. Very, very strong, it seems. And then you've got this PR 20 down at the bottom. It's quite abysmal, really, isn't it? Should do something about that, perhaps. Oh, right. Mitoe says you can co-cast. Perfect. That's brilliant news. Let me tab out then and get Mitoe on the phone. That's exactly what I need. I feel a little bit out of my depth right here. So Mitoe coming to save the day is awesome. Just change over the scene. I'll get Mitoe on the phone here.
Hello?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Hey, it's all going good. How about you?
Good, good. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I feel a bit out of my depth. I just cast that Russia mirror on my own, and I don't know what I was saying. I was saying the things that I heard Interjection say once upon a time.
I think for the most part, it was pretty solid. I mean, a couple of things, obviously, you didn't quite know about, maybe, but for the most part, it was pretty solid.
Cool. Well, yeah, I didn't pick up at the start on the wood thing. I thought that they might have done the market earlier. But is it a 200 or a 300 wood start? Or is it a 100 or 200 wood start?
For Russia, you can only have either 100 or 200 wood.
Gotcha.
That's the case for most civilizations.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And right, so I mean, it just Will was telling me pay attention to the resources at the start. That's like the first thing to look at. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that.
I think in a Russian mirror, it's not as important, but in certain matchups, it can be important.
Okay, well, we'll pick up on that if it does become important in future games. We do have Florida coming up next, and we've got Snow picking the Sioux. Ramex locking in the Germans here. So I don't remember if we saw this match yesterday. I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we saw this matchup either.
We did see the Sioux, and I quite enjoyed watching the Sioux actually. But it was Sioux versus Dutch yesterday. That's what we saw. Mm-hmm. But what do the Germans have, sort of, to deal with the Sioux here?
To deal with the Sioux, well, they just have a stronger economy for the most part, and I don't know. I think Sioux is normally a civ that likes to fight in the Fortress Age, and Germany is one of the strongest civs in the Fortress Age, if not the strongest. So
okay,
they've got that going for them, but they still have to be careful because in the early game, Germany, of course, gets those free Ulans with every shipment, right? But
yeah,
because Sioux has bow riders in Colonial, those Ulans are sometimes not very useful until much later, so you kind of have to be careful not to lose them. And yeah, usually you have to start infantry, which is not ideal as Germany, but
okay,
we'll see how he plays it.
Yeah, let's see. We're loading into the game now. It's game number 2 here. We'll be on Florida as Snow leads 1-0. I do actually need to update the scoreboard to reflect that as well. And he's going to go with the Sioux. He'll be spawning down to the southwest in the green. And then up to the northeast in the red will be Ramex12 taking the Germans. So Florida then, what's the first thing to look out for here?
Well, this map, if you take a look at a lot of the treasures, there's a lot of really strong treasure guardians and stuff on this map, or there's also like a 2-dog treasure and stuff like that. All of this is really, really nice for War Chief civs because they can convert those guardians. Mm-hmm. So they end up with a really strong like early game unit mass as a result of that. They end up with like a couple of alligators, a pirate, some blowgunners, war dogs, all that stuff. So that's a little bit dangerous for Ramex moving into transition to Colonial and early Colonial. It's something to watch out for here.
Okay, and we see Ramex there picking up the native scout, so that's pretty nice for him. Get to scout those treasures out a bit more, and he will find the alligator of Snow as well and take that down pretty quickly. But yeah, I guess having the native scout's good. Might be able to pick up some more of the sheep. He's got one at the back of his base there, and he'll find that 30 wood behind his base as well. Not a huge treasure, but do you think Snow will go for this 2 stray dogs? I think that seems pretty good, right? If he gets the alligator conversion.
Yeah, I think as soon as he has his conversion up, he'll likely go for that treasure, unless he needs to contest something that Ramex is doing. But that treasure is really, really strong, especially for Sioux, so I would be expecting him to go for that, yeah.
Okay. Do you know much about these players? I think Snow seems to be the higher rated player on in PR.
Yeah, so both players have been around for a while. Ramex sort of returning recently-ish to the game after a bit of a break. Snow having a little bit more success in tournaments than him. He's actually he won the last major tournament we did with ESOC. So he's a pretty big favorite in this tournament, I would say. Whereas Ramex is more of a team game player. He doesn't play quite as many 1v1s as he does team games, though he's still quite solid. So yeah, that's a little bit of their history, I suppose.
Okay, so we probably favor Snow here. We'll see who can get this treasure, though. Looks like it will be Ramex there, getting the 80 wood as the little scout comes in to poke at the... what do you call this this explorer, the Sioux explorer? Something, it's quite special. It's awesome.
We usually just call them the War Chief.
The War Chief, there you go. the war chief. I like it. But yeah, so far he's not gone for any of the bigger treasures, it seems. Snow there grabbing just the 100 XP and the 20 coin, but he will now go for the 75 wood, getting the convert on the alligator. And maybe we'll see him go for the dogs later on. But yeah, I like this map. It's got a lot of treasures on it, actually. And Pampas Sierras, that last game, had some really, I feel like, poor treasures, actually. There was only like 3 or 4 food or wood treasures there.
Yeah, so some maps... So every map has a specific treasure set, which defines all the different treasures that can spawn on the map. And on Pampas, sometimes you get a bunch of really good ones, and then sometimes you get some good ones, and then a lot of sort of useless ones that aren't really takeable in the early game. And Florida, I think, has a good spread of treasures that are pretty much always good. I wish more maps would use that, because I feel like it can sometimes... be quite impactful in the game, but for the most part, it usually isn't, but sometimes can.
Okay, and so here we have the war chief building his trade post quite nicely there. We've already got the trade post on the way up for the German player. Seems like, once again, they're pretty similar, like sort of play style here from both players. They're aging at about the same time. They're following up with placer mines at the same time. They're building their trade post at the same time. Last game was a raw mirror matchup, but this game it feels like they're mirroring each other, even though they're playing as different civs.
Yeah, they have very similar playstyles for sure. They both like to build trading posts. They both like to get up to fortress very early and stuff like that. So, and they don't have a lot of stuff that they really need to accomplish all that much in the early game. So, I think that's a fair assessment for sure.
And Snow there will actually scout the trading post at the back with the alligator. He's actually using it to scout, which is really nice. And meanwhile, we see the native scout in stealth mode. But whoa, Snow. I thought that was something crazy happening there. I think the UI just bugged out for a second. We do only see one TP from him, though. And I remember yesterday watching the Sioux on Tar Desert, and we saw like 3 or 4 TPs quite early on. Only one TP here at this point. Do you think he'll be adding more, or is is there sort of an... I guess, I don't know, like, are you trading your resources for building TPs to do something else?
Well, in this game, he's building trading posts instead. Which is a little bit more valuable in the early game, right? Because the earlier you can... The earlier in the game, the cheaper your shipments are, so those trading posts giving you a lot of shipments early in the game is really valuable. But I imagine he'll definitely add them in later, maybe with 700 wood or something like that.
Okay, so he's really just sort of making that decision at this point, getting the second trade post up instead of the second or third TP. But it looks like Ramex will come in and probably scout that in a moment. Of course, you will see the corral, which is pretty standard, I think, for the Sioux. But the Sioux sending the 4 axe riders immediately, but there's already a good number of Ulan here from Ramex. The 3, of course, that came... the 2 that came with the settler wagons, and then he did make another batch of 5, I believe, or 4 from the stable. So it looks pretty good for Snow, but he does bring his war chief over so he can try and avoid the snare. It looks like that's actually working out quite well, and should escape the Ulan without losing too many more axe riders there.
Yeah, and I think Snow got caught off guard a little bit here, because it's not super standard to start with a stable against Sioux again, because they do have access to the bow rider in the second age, which is now coming across the map here, and is really, really strong against cavalry. So what Ramex is doing here is kind of a surprise to Snow, I think, and just trying to get a really good trade with those Ulans early, which he sort of did, although he ended up losing a couple in the end. But now with the bow riders here, it's going to be a different story, and these Ulans are probably not long for this world.
No, he does take down the war chief, though, so that's 100 XP, and some more Ulans are going to pop. The axe riders are still up, though, and he does even find a villager. So Snow looking pretty good right now. We do see Palatine settlements coming in, but I think he probably would have been more benefited from a military shipment at this point, perhaps. Does he have something in deck that he could have sent there that would have dealt with those bow riders nicely?
Not without hurting his build order. I mean, he could send 8 crossbows or something like that to sort of dissuade these bow riders from coming in here, but doing that would really hurt his chances of getting up to the Fortress Age and also having all of his important infrastructure up and stuff.
Right.
Palatine Settlements, though, is also not a standard card for Germany, or, yeah, at all, really. Basically, we actually saw it yesterday when Kaiser
Yeah, we
Klein
did,
did his mercenary strategy, but it makes your houses worth a lot more population.
Hmm.
And the reason we don't really see it a lot of the time is because 700 wood is a sort of just better shipment in the short term. It gives you, like 5 houses and another military building, and building all those buildings gives you experience and
Right.
stuff like that towards your next shipment. So this will help him long term. It'll be worth a lot more wood long term, but in the short term, it's not really doing anything for him. As you can see, he doesn't have a barracks up yet. And if he does end up like losing these houses that are sort of on the front of his base and a little bit of exposed, then he could be housed for a while, or housed quite quickly rather, because it takes out quite a lot of population.
Right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, they are quite exposed as well. Right now, though, he is aging though, and he did send out 700 coin. Do you think he would have been better off sending the wood then instead of Palatine settlements, or do you think there's a better reason for sending that now?
I think he probably would have been better off with wood, but
Okay.
again, like, this will be better long term, so it's a bit of a trade-off, right? It's not terrible. It's just in the short term, like, it's not going to be great for him for sure.
Okay. So he's up though, at least, and Snow is up as well. You said both of them kind of want to play that sort of Fortress Age timing in this game. Ramex will be up a little sooner, so I guess he'll be able to start sending shipments a little bit sooner, and it might be able to sort of swing this a little bit. But at the moment, looks like Snow's doing really well. He's done quite a bit of raiding damage. He's forcing a lot of idle time. And a lot of those villagers now just piling into that TC. 19 villagers in there, unable to gather anything. He is picking off a few of these units, but I'm sure he'd like to be gathering pretty soon as well. As right now, Snow will back away because there's a raid coming in. Oh, those villagers on that wood line. Gonna have to actually run toward the army here, not to get caught by the Ulan, I think.
Yep, that seems to be the case. And he looks like he's just going to sacrifice those Ulans for a villager here, which is okay at this point. Those Ulans aren't going to be super useful for anything other than raiding or buying time, with how many bow riders are out on the map at the moment. And he'll probably want to be training like war wagons or skirmishers or something like that. And yeah, he does actually have war wagons in queue at the moment.
It seems to me like Snow has killed a lot more units this game so far. But I mean, I guess the Ulan are free, so it's worth for Ramex to sort of try and raid and try and find some villager picks. It looks like he's only managed to find one so far, but they are even on economic unit population at the moment. So Ramex here coming in with the war wagons. He's very outnumbered though, but there are some more to reinforce with. This probably shouldn't go too well for Ramex if he's caught out in the open like this.
Yeah, this was definitely a risky push from him. Probably going to lose most of those war wagons, and with the reinforcing axe riders, definitely going to be forced to retreat. But this trade didn't seem that bad for him at the moment. He killed off about 5 axe riders. Probably going to get a couple more here. And at the end of the day, that's probably not too bad. And again, like, Sioux's economic bonus is the fact that they don't have to build houses, and the more you're trading units, the more that bonus is sort of mitigated. Since Ramex will have the stronger economy with which to replace those units. But at the same time, I mean, Ramex did go for Palatine settlement, so it's not like he's hurting on population either. So these trades maybe aren't as effective as they normally would be against Sioux.
Yeah, right. And at the moment, Ramex really just doesn't have anything. I mean, we'll take a look at units in queue now. And, he's got nothing in queue. He just popped out the 5 war wagons, and he's going to be training some more. Is making, batches of 5 war wagons every now and then going to be enough? Because Snow sending some big sort of military shipments now. The 5 axe riders, the 9 wakinas, and Ramex at the moment just sending... Oh, there we go. 8 skirmishers. That should be pretty good, right? The 8 skirms should be good against the wakinas, and of course the war wagons against the axe riders as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his unit composition is pretty solid at the moment with that shipment coming in. Still no barracks, I think, yet for him, though, so not going to be able to train more than those 8 skirmishers. He could maybe send some more from the home city, but in the long run here, he might need to think about getting down a barracks if he wants to sort of maintain that military advantage.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Ramex actually hasn't sent any wood shipments yet. He's got 1,000 wood shipment in deck, so maybe we'll see that next, as we do see Snow going for that 1,000 wood. He is a little bit ahead in the shipment curve because he does have that second TP, of course. But right now, he's kind of, I feel like he's getting kited a little bit by the skirmishers. But Snow going to follow this up with the bow riders now. It looks like he's committed once again to take another fight, but will immediately want to back out, it seems, because there's quite a lot of war wagons there. And this army from Germany seems to be pretty strong.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that Sioux could deal with just yet. They need sort of a larger mass of Wakinas to deal with those war wagons, because they're very tanky and take a lot of shots to kill. But once he does have a good mass, then they're not quite as effective because they don't have the range resistance that a lot of other ranged cavalry have. So yeah, for the moment, it's looking okay for Ramex, but I think Snow is still in a good position. And yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure how this is going to play out from here, with Ramex still only on the one stable, and second town center going down, as you're mentioning right now, for Snow to maybe try and build up more of an economic lead. He's already sort of leading in economy a little bit.
Yeah, he's been raiding that gold coin mine at the top there. There's a lot of settlers on there. And I wonder, if this coin mine runs out, where does he go next? He's got to expand quite far out. And we see Snow building that town center quite close to the coin mine, where he's going to expand to later. So it looks to me like Snow's sort of really thinking ahead here a little bit. And Ramex might not be in such a comfortable position should he need to push out, because he's kind of stuck in base still, and those two coin mines are very close to where Snow's got his army positioned right now.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like there might be a little bit of a fight here, though. There's a lot of Ulans out that could potentially get onto these Wakina, and there's not a lot of bow riders here to dissuade them, so this is a really dangerous position for Snow to be in.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I mean, I wondered where the bow riders were going for a while. He did send them away. A lot of those Wakina were going down for free, and Snow here going to try and reinforce with the dog soldiers. He's got 3 of those coming in on the right-hand side, trying to get onto the back lines, and he will get right up in the face of those skirmishers. But meanwhile, the Wakina kind of getting surrounded by the Ulan. There's more Ulan coming in from Ramex as well. But those bow riders are also still up at the back. Really kind of interesting fight, really close fight. But it looks like Snow may end up coming out on top here with those bow riders cleaning up the remaining of Ulans. And there you have it. Ramex just calling GG right there.
Those dog soldiers coming in to save the day at the end there to clean up the skirmishers. Like before that, it was looking really, really bad for him, but thankfully he does manage to get back into it.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly the Sioux can get around the map. Being able to group those dog soldiers with the war chief. He was across the map in a hot second, and he was there to fight. So it's very quickly able to turn the tide of the battle, and I really like that. But Ramex looked like he was really in for a good shot at taking that fight. But it all went wrong when the dog soldiers came in. They seem to be a really strong unit once you've got a good number of units out already. Just sort of like to get in on the back lines and like take out all the skirmishes, for example. They seem to be really effective at that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's partly because they have the 1.5 times multiplier against infantry, so they absolutely shred through skirmishers.
Yeah, 35 hand attack as well, so they're quite a hard-hitting unit.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird game. I'm not really sure what to say about it, to be honest. It was pretty close. I mean, if you look at, if you're still in the game and you look at the military tab, they had roughly the same number of units, the exact same number of units killed, and it just came down to that last fight at the end of it. Ramex doesn't really have much going for him after these Ulans get cleaned up, as he's only got a stable, he's got a handful of war wagons in queue, but those bow riders and dog soldiers are just going to be able to right-click the villagers, and that's kind of what I think forced Ramex to call GG here.
Yeah, it was a nice game. I think Snow just seemed to be in control again for the most part, sort of having that map control. And Ramex just sort of waiting for the right moment to push, but didn't really manage to get that timing and managed to sort of take that fight. It's interesting, the raiding from Snow was very effective as well. He did keep raiding quite nicely. Ramex, they're losing a few villagers here or there. And Ramex was never really able to raid Snow in return. Snow was very quick to deal with those Ulan. I think he only lost 1 or 2 villagers the entire game to raids, and I know Ramex definitely lost a couple more.
Yeah, definitely did.
All right, let's come out then.
You know what the next map is?
It will be Baja, California.
Oh, okay.
Our favorite. Because Kamchatka was vetoed, and then New England was also vetoed. But Snow pulling ahead very quickly here with 2 back-to-back victories. Is it out of a question that Ramex will get a win here? We'll have to find out. But he's going to be picking his civilization in a moment. Snow will be taking his first pick, and Ramex may counterpick that. Do you have any ideas about the sort of favored civs for these players? Do you have any ideas what they might go for here?
I'm not as familiar with Ramex, but I know he likes to play Dutch and stuff like that, whereas Snow is a little bit more well-rounded, can play a lot of different civs. He's going to go for Japan on this map, it looks like. And against this, I feel like Ramex could go back to Russia, which he picked in the first game, right? And didn't manage to win with. And that's a very difficult matchup for Japan, so I'm kind of expecting that this game, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. And we've seen the Japanese quite a few times actually on this map. I remember seeing them at least twice now already in the very small number of games I've actually cast. They seem to be a popular choice, and we seem to see those sort of 3 fishing ships coming out very early and then getting the 3 more from the consulate. We saw that, I think, with Kaiser and Soldier yesterday in their best of 9. But yeah, any reason why Japanese seem to be a popular pick on this map in particular?
I think it's got to do mostly with how many resources are in the base, and also the rush distance being a little bit longer than other maps. So because you don't have a lot of resources in base, you normally have to leave a little bit earlier than you would like to, whereas Japan can kind of avoid that because of the cherry orchards, and also because the rush distance is a little bit longer. It means being aggressive against Japan is a little bit more difficult sometimes.
Okay.
And that kind of plays to their strengths.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we actually see Ramex here going for the Dutch, which I guess is sort of another civilization that can stay in base and is a little bit harder to raid. So interestingly, they're going for different civilizations here, but they are both going for civs that sort of check similar boxes. So we will see how this plays out as we go into game number 3, Baja, California. It's 2-0 to Snow so far. And this is indeed match point. So we'll see if Ramex can bring it back with Dutch against Japanese. We're loading into the game right now. And we're going to see that Snow will be in the east of the map. He'll be playing in the green, same color as always. And then over to the west of the map in the red, it will be Ramex. They're playing as the Dutch. So the start here, we've got 200 wood start for the Dutch player, and is it 200 wood again for the? Yeah, it would be 200 wood for Snow.
It's 300 wood actually.
300
Japan
wood.
always starts with a
missed
minimum of 200 wood because their shrines are a little bit more costly than a normal house. But it looks like he is going to be using that wood to drop down a consulate, get those cheaper buildings, cheaper wonders, cheaper shrines, all that stuff. And just play a little bit more economically as a result of that, I think. Whereas Dutch don't really benefit from the wood as much as Japan does, I think. Because sometimes they don't even really have a way to invest that. Looks like, though, Ramex is actually going to be putting some bills onto wood, so he might be building a market or a trading post here. He's going to be picking up 80 wood. So it looks like it is going to be a trading post for him, actually, with that 80 wood.
Yeah, I guess he's just going to get the extra wood there to build that and then have enough left for a house, I imagine. But yeah, at the moment, both players sort of exploring out. Ramex here grabbing so far the 80 wood and the 10 coin, while Snow has grabbed 60 food and 20 coin. So no wood going the way of Snow so far. He finds another 30 coin now, but no wood treasures for him just yet. But we do see the trading post coming up at the bottom of the map. He will miss the pass, but he'll get that next time around. And I guess if you send your explorer straight there and build it as the first thing you do, you'll get the pass, right? But if you need to gather any wood or do any treasuring first, you're pretty much guaranteed to miss it.
Right, yeah. So it's not going to really help him out in the early game at all here. But it was essentially free with the 80 wood treasure, so it will help him out later on. Unfortunately for Dutch, building that trading post is not just a super clear advantage, as it does slow down your bank by quite a bit in transition. He could have been, 180 wood closer to that bank, but instead he's probably going to have to delay it by about 20 seconds or so, which will increase the cost of that trading post, so to speak, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point. But I guess he's probably thinking, well, it's probably worth getting the shipments sent. Obviously, he's got quite a few shipments there. He can send the bank, obviously, as well in H2. But yeah, we'll see. At the moment, we do see the Portuguese consulate and Heavenly Kami, as well as the Wunder for Snow coming down. It's the Shogu's Shrine. So he's sort of playing that style that you talked about the other day, sort of being all sort of focused on economy, a little bit more greedy, perhaps.
Yeah, so I think after hang on, where am I going with this? Before you send any cards or get the consulate or anything like that, shrines cost 120 wood. Now with both the Portuguese consulate and that Heavenly Kami shipment, his shrines are going to cost 72 wood, so he can build quite a few of them in transition here. And that will, give him a pretty nice boost to his economy. And I don't think he's too worried about those being super threatened by Dutch in the early game, as Dutch is a little bit similar to Japan in the fact that they like to boom a lot and don't have a super strong colonial age. And they like to play more for the mid game. So this boom will definitely pay off for Snow, I think.
Okay, and look up here as well. We actually see this villager coming over to help out against the grizzly bear. Ramex will find another 80 wood here, which seems pretty good actually. That's 160 wood now. So you mentioned the TP being an issue, maybe slowing down his first bank, but that 80 wood will certainly make up for that as well. So good treasuring, I think, for Ramex, getting some really valuable treasures in the early game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not quite sure what to expect from these players at the moment. Looks like just the bank going down for Ramex. I guess the thing to see will be whether or not he uses this 400 wood on this age up here to build a military building, or whether he uses it for a second bank. Looks like at the moment he might be going for a second bank, although he's switching a lot of vills to gold, so I could be wrong about that.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you said that it's quite hard to raid the Japanese, so I don't know, maybe it's more tempting to play greedy against the Japanese, right? You're probably thinking, well, they're stuck in base, I can't really raid them. I really just want to make the minimum amount of military necessary to defend myself, and then from there, just sort of sit in base and be greedy with the banks, perhaps. But we do see fishing fleet coming in as well, so he'll actually send the fish to his water home city gather point flag and be able to fish there as well, which is very nice.
Yeah, and it looks like it is going to be that slower start out of Dutch this time. He is going to drop that second bank with the 400 wood, going to ship 700 wood as his first shipment, and drop a market with that, and likely a third bank, maybe even a fourth bank coming up pretty soon. So no military buildings out of him just yet, which is going to, of course, leave Snow free to continue shrining for the time being, and Snow himself going to respond in kind with his own wood shipment to sort of help expedite those market upgrades and some more shrines.
Yep, as well as the barracks now as well, but a lot of shrines going down. And I think Ramex sees this quite clearly. His envoys scouting them, his explorers scouting them, and there's not a lot he can really do about them right now because, as you say, he's not built any military. He's actually just building his fourth bank instead. So it's full eco approach from both players. Tell me, though, this Japanese card here, it's 600 wood compared to the 700 wood that the European civs seem to get. The benefit, of course, being that you can send it twice. Mm-hmm. So how good is that?
Being able to send it twice?
Yeah, right. Obviously, you can send it 600 wood, which is less, and it costs a shipment, but of course, you can still send it twice.
I don't think it's much of an advantage for Japan in the early game. a lot of the shipments that they can send twice in the Colonial Age are pretty poor. But when you get later into the game, if you took a look at Japan's deck, they have a lot of really solid shipments in the Fortress and Industrial Age that are pretty high value shipments that you can send twice, whereas normally other civilizations have a decent shipment and then they have to send to sort of a poorer shipment if they want to double up on that same unit type or whatever. So it's an advantage and a disadvantage sort of for Japan, because in the early game it's weaker, but in the later game it's a lot stronger.
Yeah, economically, that 7 villagers twice seems extremely strong. And then, of course, you've got the 16 Yumi archers twice and the 4 flaming arrows, which seems to be popular as well. But interestingly, this deck, though, from Snow does include the option to do more fishing boats. He's got 5 fishing boats in Age 2, 3 fishing boats in Age 1, and he's got the Atakabunis there in Age 3 as well. So Ramex, meanwhile, has no water on the cards at all.
Yeah, and I don't really expect Snow to go for water much, though. It's not really his style. But basically what those cards are there for, I guess, is just in case Ramex was aggressive, it would give him a place to send those villagers that they would be able to gather safely unharassed. Now that he's spotted that Ramex wasn't going for anything aggressive, he just decided to go for those 4 villager shipments, which will arguably be a little bit stronger because they'll be more affected by those market upgrades, whereas the fishing boats are not.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we'll see him sending that again now. But Age 3 is coming in for... who is that coming in for? Ramex there, as he builds his barracks. So we're expecting sort of skirmishes here. Obviously, there's Ashigaru's out, so skirmishes seems to be the logical option.
Yeah, I think that will certainly be what Ramex goes for here. He's got a barracks down now, skirmishers in queue, a stable going up in the back, likely to add in some Reuters to make sure those skirmishers are super safe against any cavalry. And yeah, he's going to look to try and just add some pressure in before Japan can really do too much in the early game here. He's going to have to age up before he can really do anything, probably, at this stage, as he hasn't really done any damage early on, so staying colonial is probably not on the cards for Snow. Yeah, so we're just going to have to wait and see what the first shipment for Ramex is. It could be 1,000 wood. Just looking at his macro, it looks likely that it is going to be that. So yeah, there it is. Yep. It's going to be a very greedy shipment behind this. But I think he can get away with that for the time being.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, Snow is still colonial, and he's got the skirmishers out now, so he can, in theory, deal with this army. But there are now some Yumi archers in there. He has got the Reuters out as well. But looking at that sort of economic population, it's 54 to 43. Snow is clearly ahead there, thanks to the shrines. And Ramex here doesn't have a lot of military at the moment, still being very, very greedy. And I guess in a way sort of making up for the lack of economic population by shipping those big wood shipments.
Yep, and basically all of his shipments have been super greedy shipments to start, but now that he's got all those out of the way and Japan's thinking about aging now, this will be sort of Dutch's time to try and make something happen on the map, either kill a bunch of trines or maybe push into Snow's base, do a little bit of damage before he can get any of those fortress shipments or techs in. And yeah, this is a little bit of the weakness of Japan. Even though they do have a very strong economy, it's really awkward to try and age up fortress very early with them, just because you do have to eventually send that 2 orchard shipment. And if you age up the fortress too early, you're going to have to send that anyway, which sort of mitigates the advantage of being in fortress anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to be sending the orchards in the fortress age. Like, you really want to be sending some of the bigger, more valuable cards. But Snow there will get himself shot up by the skirmishers as he backs away. And I guess once he gets into Age 3, we're going to see a little bit more focus onto military, I should hope, at least, as we see Golden Pavilion there, and the second barracks coming up. And there you go, some Yumi archers coming out, and we will see what's in queue. At the moment, just more Yumis. Is that the best unit choice at the moment, just Yumi archers?
Yeah, they're probably the best answer that Japan has to these skirmishers. They've got the disciplined upgrade coming in now, which will make them quite a bit stronger. But before that, looks like Ramex is going to come in, try to do a little bit of damage, maybe kill a couple of vills or something, or pick off a couple of free units before that upgrade comes in. But yeah, until he can really get maybe a good mass of flaming arrows or naginatas out, which is really hard to do early on, Yuumi archers are definitely going to be his best bet here.
Yeah, the Reuters don't seem to want to go anywhere near this at the moment. They're just staying way back. But he did end up sieging down that trade post in the middle in the meantime. But yeah, those Yuumis seem to be doing a great job picking off the skirms here. And Ramex, meanwhile, just taking down some of those sentries and irregulars. So pretty good going for Snow, it seems, as the disciplined Yuumi is now done. He's also got the Way of the Bow being his first Fortress Age shipment. So it seems like quite a big sort of commitment to the Yuumi Archer here.
Yeah, but infantry combat coming in for Ramex as well, so both kind of going to be committing to the ranged infantry sort of fight here, I guess. And I feel like this is pretty good for Snow at this point, because there's not a lot of siege on the side of Ramex, and so dealing with all of these shrines all across the map is not something he's going to be able to do very easily. You can see it takes so long for those skirmishers to siege down a shrine, and with the Yuumis around to contest, he's just not going to be able to take any of those out.
Yeah, it's just free picks for Snow every time, and both of them sort of coming together, losing a couple of units, backing up, coming together, losing a couple of units. He's trying to siege with the Reuters. I mean, they have 7 siege damage. It's like, is there even any point? But yeah, he does have some Yamabushi out, which are obviously much better at sieging, and he can do that down in this. Sorry, what am I talking about? That's Snow with the Yamabushi. My bad. So yeah, Ramex really doesn't have any sieging potential. But yeah. He will take down this one shrine here, it seems, but it's kind of getting distracted by the shrine a little bit too much as well. It looks like we've got Yuumi Archer attack coming in as Snow wants to take this fight there, but some of the Yuumis do get taken out and is backing away for now. I guess he really doesn't want to engage with the Ashigara at the moment.
Yeah, and it seems like there's just a little bit too many skirmishers for the Yuumi to deal with on their own. Looks like he's going to try and stand and fight now, bring the Ashi up just a little bit, try to force those skirmishers to walk away a little bit, and yeah, there he goes. So, going to be roughly an even trade here.
There is a lot more military out for Ramex, though. You know, look at the 50, well, yeah, sorry, 53 versus 31. And I think that's probably in part due to the 8+7 skirms shipments he sent. We don't see any unit shipments out of Snow so far, just pure production. But yeah, it looks like Ramex is still in a position to fight this. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's taking some good trades here for sure, forcing Yuumi back again, and this is just buying him a little bit of time to continue sieging some of those shrines around the map, which will sort of help his economy catch up a little bit. Although it looks like Snow is sending 7 villagers coming in just now, so that'll be increasing the economic disparity a little bit. But yeah, both players not really keen on diversifying their unit composition much, looks like. There's a couple of stables going down now for your Snow, though.
Yeah, I do wonder, though, at what point does one of them sort of change their unit composition? I feel like, you know, just adding a few Naginata or adding a few, you know, just any sort of melee cavalry could be a really good way to break this up and sort of mix it up a little bit and get an advantage over this sort of singular unit composition army.
Yeah, and it looks like that is what Snow is doing now. He's got 7 Nagis in queue right now. I imagine he'll finish that up to 10 before that pops. And he'll just wait until a couple of batches pop, maybe try and keep those units hidden for a little while until he gets a good mass of them, and that might be sort of his timing against this Skirm Reuter composition. But the Reuter mass is growing behind this, so I don't know if the Nagis will be enough on their own.
Yeah, there's a lot of Reuters there, actually, isn't there? He did just send the 9 as well as his shipment. So, you know, he's training batches of 10 skirmishers at a time. He's got a lot of Reuters up. And it seems to be a really tough combo to deal with at this point. And I don't know, if you're not the Japanese, you know, what do you do against this combination? I feel like a lot of civs have trouble with this.
Yeah, skirms and ranged cavalry compositions are really, really strong. They have a lot of micro potential and a lot of DPS, but it looks like the Naginata is going to be hopping out with a 5 Nagi shipment, getting onto the skirmishers. Those Reuters not in a great position to pick off these Nagis. They're forced to walk all the way around those trees to get into a good spot, and this trade looks like it's going really well for Snow at the moment.
It absolutely does. There are more reinforcing skirmishers at the back, though, and the Reuters here just trying to deal with the Naginata. They've really changed this up quite a lot as Ramex sort of backs away here. A lot of his Reuters seem to have got caught out by the Yumi there as well. But he did also get the team infantry hit points as well, so those skirmishers benefiting from that on top of the infantry combat upgrades. Right now, it looks like Ramex is still just ahead in military unit population, but not for long, as we see more Naginata being sort of flooded across the map. Snow now might be able to sort of snowball this and start to really push this back. I like how he's putting his Yumi really close in here, just so that his Naginata can get in and get onto the skirms.
Yeah, just trying to zone out the Reuters a little bit. So his Nagis will do a lot of damage to this top group of skirms, going to be forcing the Reuters to take a lot of losses to get there to defend the skirmers, but at the end of the day, it looks like the skirmisher mass is going to reign supreme. There's another big mass of Nagis behind this, and some more Reuters flooding into the Japanese base, not exactly where they need to be, so this could actually be suddenly really good for Snow. And yeah, no more anti-cav coming here. And all the villagers exposed behind this as well.
This could be a cleanup from Snow here. These skirmishers can only do so much. The Reuters, I don't know where they went. They're sitting under the TC right now, taking out some Nagis. But meanwhile, the skirmishers will get snared. A lot of them will get taken down as more Reuters come across the map. But Ramex just calls it right there. And I don't know, I feel like that might have been a little bit too early still. But, well, I can understand, right? Like, you just got all those Nagis on you.
It might have been a bit early, but just take a look at that northern trading post where all these Dutch villagers are. He's not doing super well in this fight. I mean, there's some Reuters now to sort of threaten the Nagi, but there's still a lot of Nagi coming behind this, right? There's a group of 5 that's not quite in there. There's still some Yumi archers in here. That's true. If you look at those villagers, some of them are on that gold mine, but what he really needs right now is food. If you take a look at his resources, he's got 1,600 gold and 200 food. And he can't gather from any of these animals on the northern side of the map here because they're all shrined up, and he didn't really invest a lot into killing off these shrines, so now he's paying for it.
Yeah, I guess the better option would have perhaps to come down to the south and grab the pronghorns down there. Obviously, the ones in the north, as you say, were shrined, so he had no way of gathering them, and that's kind of unfortunate for Ramex. I feel like if he'd have had the resource income to continue fighting on, he might have come out on top there, but that's really hard to say, and it's really tough for him not being able to secure the hunt at some point. That Japanese shrining can really just be super annoying. And I guess at no point in that game did he really make anything that could siege them down. He did try and take some out with the Reuters, but that was about it, and they weren't too effective at that.
Yeah, only 7 siege per Reuters, quite low. So yeah, as a result, like Snow's economy just remained mostly uncontested for the entire game, and Japan, when their economy is uncontested, has arguably one of the strongest mid to late games in the whole game, so definitely showing that right here.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he added the Naginata in, even though he knew his opponent had a lot of Reuters. And I think that's kind of nice because it shows that he's thinking, well, you know, if I can zone out the Reuters, I can really make a good fight out of this. And it shows that Snow is very confident in his ability to take a good fight and micro a good fight. You know, it's probably quite easy to think, well, the Naginatas will just get countered by the Reuters. Is there any point making them? But sort of diversifying his unit composition a little bit definitely paid off.
Yeah, definitely did, for sure. And yeah, I guess that's the series, isn't it? So Snow winning 3-0.
Very, very quick series there, and not really much contest, it seems. Snow was very dominant in all games, and Ramex as well. I guess when you're 2-0 down and things aren't going great, you don't really have the motivation to keep playing necessarily. Does seem to be the case there. But take a look at military unit population. Snow was actually behind for quite a bit, but at the end there, Ramex just sort of snowballing and losing out. But looking at the villager count, or the I guess, does the villager count just count villagers, or does that count for shrines as well? Just
the villagers, yeah. So
okay.
The main thing here is the all resources gathered. As you can see, after that 7 villager shipment came in for Snow, he started to get ahead economically at the end there. Dutch started to fall off a little bit economically, as they don't really have as many ways to invest into their economy as Japan does once they max out their banks.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, ended up at the point where he just couldn't continue trading against Japan.
Yeah, good point. So there you go. GG. It looks like it will be a 3-0 victory for Snow. Ramex there will now drop down to the lower bracket. And I'm not entirely sure who he will face, but I think I can find out quite quickly if I just check the ESOC website real quick. And I think that was the last match in the round of 32 for the upper bracket as well.